Hey, what's up guys, it's Darkarn Dolston, technically doing an Evil Swarm deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an amazing deck to play because of our boss monster, Evil Swarm Ophion, which is just an amazing boss monster for locking down both players from special summoning level 5 or higher monsters. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name description in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Evil Swarm Kyrkion. Kyrkion is a definite 3-of in this deck, and is a great card because it has the ability to banish an Elsworn monster from your graveyard, and then target an Elsworn monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. Then you get an additional normal summon of an Elsworn monster this turn, which is a really good effect to be able to use in this game to be able to get an additional level 4 on your side of the field so you can make copies of Ophion. We then play 3 copies of Evil Swarm Caster. Caster is a definite 3-of in the deck and is one of the best cards to see in your opening hand because during the turn this card was normal summon, you gain the ability to get an additional normal summon of an Elsworn monster, which is a great effect to be able to use just to get another monster on your side of the field so you can start making XZ plays. We then play 2 copies of Mandragora. Mandragora is a really good 2-of in this deck. I don't feel like you need 3 copies of this card, but it can actually special summon itself to your side of the field if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, but it's a really good card to play in the deck because it's an additional name in this build. We then play 2 copies of Thunderbird. Thunderbird is an awesome card, and I love this card as a 2-of in the build because it has a great effect that you can banish this card during either player's turn when a card effect is activated, and then during the next standby phase, return this card back to the field if it was banished by this effect, which is a great effect to be able to basically make sure that you're going to have a level 4 on your side of the field when you want to XZ summon, which is really nice. We then play 3 copies of Evil Swarm Heliotrope. Heliotrope is a vanilla monster, but we play a lot of ways to actually special summon this card out to our side of the field, from Rescue Rabbits to Unexpected Die. We have a bunch of different ways to get this card out on our side of the field so we can start making XZ plays, but this card is a great 3-of in this build. We then play 3 copies of Rescue Rabbit. Rescue Rabbit is one of the best normal summons in the entire build, as long as you don't already have 2 copies of your Heliotrope in your hand. But this card is great because you can manage this face-up card you control to special summon out 2 copies of your Heliotrope directly from your deck, which is a great effect just to get you 2 monsters on the field so you can make a copy of Ophion. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is a definite 3-of in the deck because it just stops your opponent from touching the deck, so we can basically continue our plays, which is really nice, and it's one of the best hand traps this format. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Rhoda. Caster is a warrior monster, so this card is really good in the deck as a 1-of to be able to search out that card and essentially be a 4th copy of Caster. We then play 2 copies of Infestation Pandemic. This card is a definite 2-of in the build, and it's really good in this deck because it's basically a blanket one of your forbidden cards, which is really good because all face-up Elsworn monsters you currently control are unaffected by other spells or trap cards this turn, so it's basically like a blanket copy of Forbidden Lance, which is just such a cool thing about this card, except you don't lose the 800 attack points, and it is searchable off Ophion's effect, which is super cool about this card. It protects you from cards like Dark Hole and stuff like that, even Regeki, which is just really nice, and it's just such a powerful card in this deck. We then play 2 copies of my personal tech, which we're actually going to be playing face down and get you guys to play Guess That Card. This is a really awesome tech card that we're playing in the build, and it's super cool for this particular deck. And I'm actually going to get you guys to guess this card down in the comments down below. And if you get it right, I'll definitely give you guys a heart. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, guys, and definitely hit that bell in there so you can become part of Notification Squad. And we're on the road to 100K subscribers, so every subscriber counts. So let's go ahead and reveal what this card is in 3, 2, 1, and it's a really awesome card to extend our plays, and it's going to be 2 copies of Overlay Network. This is a really awesome card that we got out of Maze of Memories, and it works extremely well in this build because it has the ability that you can activate one of the following effects per turn. And you can target a face-up monster that you control and special summon one monster with the same level from your hand or graveyard in defense position, but negate its effects, and also you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck the turn you activate this effect, except XZ monsters, which is totally fine for this build because we pretty much only play one Link monster in the entire deck, but this is a really awesome card in this build to be able to use because we're only ever going to summon XZ monsters anyways. It also has the ability to target an XZ monster you control and then add one card that's attached to it back to your hand, which is a great effect to be able to get one of your copies of Caster back to your hand off of one of your Ophions, which is really nice. But this card is a great 2-of in this particular build because it's just going to help you out so much in this particular deck to be able to just extend your plays and not be so reliant on the normal summon to be able to get an additional monster on your side of the field. I love that about this card, and it's just really good in this deck as a 2-of. We then play 3 copies of Unexpected Die. Unexpected Die is really good because it lets you special summon a copy of your Heliotrope directly from your deck to your side of the field, which is a great effect. It has just such a good effect that it just Cyber Dragons one of them directly from your deck to your side of the field, so then you can normal summon out any of your Elsworn monsters and make a copy of Ophion. We then play 2 copies of Pot of Prosperity. Pot of Prosperity is great as a 2-of in this deck, or 3-of in this deck, excuse me, which is just really good to be able to use. You can change it out for Allure of Darkness if you want to change it out for Allure of Darkness for a more budget option, but it's really good just to use this card to dig into the deck to get the exact cards that you need. But again, if you don't want to play Prosperity, you can play Allure of Darkness over the Prosperity, but it's still really good as a 3-of in this build. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing a single copy of Infestation Infection. This card is a good 1-of in the deck. It lets you tag your Elsworn monsters out for different Elsworn monsters, which is a really good effect, and lets you add one of them from your deck to your hand by shuffling one of your Elsworn monsters from your hand or face them side of the field into the deck, which is a pretty good effect. I love that about this card, but it's just a good 1-of. We then play 3 copies of Impermanence. Impermanence is a definite 3-of in this build. This card helps out so much at just stopping your opponent's monster effects and also locking down entire columns for spells and traps, which is just really good. This card is a definite 3-of to back up your copies of Ash Blossom for the total of 6 hand traps in this build. We're then playing 3 copies of Torrential Tribute. Torrential Tribute is really good in this deck because you can search your copies of your Infestation Pandemic directly from your deck to your hand to be able to protect your copies of Ophion, and then while using the copies of Torrential Tribute to destroy your opponent's monsters, which is just such a good effect to be able to protect your field while destroying your opponents, which is just really cool. I love this card as a 3-of in the build, and it's just a really powerful card this format, especially with how many decks are just making insane fields, but really fall flat when you activate something that's like a Regeki or a Dark Hole or even a Torrential Tribute, which is just really nice. I love that about this card. We then play 3 copies of Eradicator Epidemic Virus. Eradicator is insane. This card is so powerful in this deck and such a cool card in this particular build, especially this format. And it's really good in this particular deck because you distribute a dark monster, 2,500 or more attack, and then you either call spells or traps, and then you can destroy all spells or traps, whichever ones you call, that your opponent controls in their hand and that they draw for the next 3 turns, which is absolutely crazy. This card is so powerful and a definite 3-of in the deck, especially if one of your copies of Ophion is about to get destroyed. You can just tribute that copy of Ophion and then go in to be able to call spells or traps. It's really a great card, and it's such a powerful card this format to be able to just deal with your opponent's spells or their traps. It's really good. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Evil Swarm Ophion. Ophion is a definite 3-of in the deck, and it's our main boss monster that we're going to be summoning all the time. It takes 2 Elsworn monsters to summon out this card, and then while this card has XZ material, level 5 or higher monsters cannot be special summoned, which is a super powerful effect to be able to use, especially with a bunch of decks right now like Kashtira, putting monsters that are level 5 on the field, which is just really insane. But this card basically just says you can't do that, and it's absolutely crazy that this card has that ability. It also has the ability once per turn, you can detach a material from this card to add an infestation spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is a really insane effect to be able to search out cards like Infestation Pandemic or Infestation Infection directly from your deck to your hand. We then play a single copy of Bahamut. Bahamut is almost like Big Eye, which is really cool. Lets you once per turn detach a material from this card, target a face-up monster your opponent controls, and discard an Elsworn monster, and if you do, take control of that opponent's monster, which is a really good effect. We then play a single copy of Evil Swarm Nightmare. Nightmare is basically walking Book of Moon, so this card's really good as a 1-of in the deck. One copy of Master Key Beetle. This gives you a little bit extra protection for your copy of Ophion, which is really nice, and I love this card as a 1-of in the build. You can also just make this card if you know you're going to tribute a monster for your copy of Eradicator. It's really good in this deck as a 1-of. We then play a single copy of Tornado Dragon to pop spells and traps. This card is great to end on. One copy of Daigusto Emerald. We do play vanillas in this deck, so this card is really good to be able to make because it does have the ability to target 3 monsters in the graveyard, shuffle them back in the deck and then draw a card, or target 1 non-effect monster in your graveyard and special summon that target, which can bring you back your copies of your Heliotrope, which is really nice. We then play a single copy of Abyss Dweller just to lock down graveyards just in case we need to. One copy of Gaga Cowboy for Cowboy for Game, just in case we need to do that extra bit of burn damage to be able to close out a game. This card is great as a 1-of. We then play a single copy of Number 60. Number 60 is really good because it can either double the attack of a monster, let you draw 2 and discard a card, or bring back a monster from the graveyard. So this card is just really good as basically a catch-all effect to be able to do anything that you pretty much need. We then play a single copy of Raiders Knight. Raiders Knight is great as a 1-of because you can detach a material from this card and then special summon a copy of Ark Rebellion, which is an insanely powerful boss monster to make that this card can get absolutely massive. It's just a crazy awesome OTK machine for this deck. It's such a powerful card in this deck to be able to make, and it's so easy to make, just off the normal summon of a Rescue Rabbit. We then play a single copy of Double A Zeus. Double A Zeus is just great because we pretty much only play Xyz in the deck, and this card is great to be able to board wipe the field. And then finally, a single copy of Steel Swarm Origin. This card is just a 1-of in the deck. I very rarely make it, but it's a really good 1-of in this particular build, just in case you need its effect. But it's a really good card as a 1-of, but you only ever going to need 1 copy of this card. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have not played an Evil Swarm deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try because it's a really fun deck to be able to play. It's absolutely crazy how powerful it is, especially in this format where a bunch of decks are putting level 5 or higher monsters on the field by special summoning them, and this deck just makes it super easy to lock down your opponent. So anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.